Oh, welcome, new players. I hope that this video finds you well, and I hope this video will answer a few of your questions that you may encounter when choosing a server for Once Human. The server list can be extremely overwhelming, especially coming from a brand new player that knows nothing about this game. So I'm hoping that this video will shed some light on what to expect when you're choosing a server. Let's jump right in, shall we? So, as soon as you load in, you're going to click on the little banner up here. It's not going to say WEnter for you because I already have a character. And unfortunately, as much as I love you guys, I don't want to delete my characters. So, you're going to probably click something that states more than likely like a character creation or whatnot, but it is going to be at the very beginning up here. Once you are on the screen, you are going to be greeted with a lot of different server names. We're going to jump into the server names, and then we'll jump into the actual servers themselves directly after. So we have Manubis, Novice, Evolution's Call, Novice, Manubis, Evolution's Call, Prisonverse Clash, and the Way of Winter. So the original servers themselves are Manubis, Novice, and Evolution's Call, Novice. These are the two servers I highly recommend for any new players. Manubis is the PvE, or the Player versus Environment server. Evolution's Call is the PvP, or the Player versus Player server. Depending on your play style, that is what I recommend you base your decision on when choosing a server. If you enjoy going up against other players, then Evolution's Call will be your jam. However, if just playing, having a chill environment, then Manubis is going to be the server that you want to go on to. However, I do want to stress PvP is an optional mode in both servers actually. So you don't have anything to stress about. If you do want to play PvP, but maybe not today, then you absolutely can jump onto the Evolution's Call server and you still can have a lot of fun. Nothing is locked behind the PvP itself except for the wars, and they are not anything that you have to partake in. So no stress. If you want to try PvP, but then you get on the server and you decide otherwise, you can still have a ton of fun on the server. So those are the main two differences. Manubis has the Prime Wars, which is player versus environment wars. So you will be going up against a very large NPC, whereas Evolution's Call, the wars themselves are against other players. And both wars are extremely optional. They're just more gameplay for you to actually enjoy, or you don't have to. Don't stress, okay? So I highly recommend those two being the first server that you choose. However, this is your game and you can decide if you want to play that way or jump into something a little bit harder. So, Manubis and Evolution's Call. Yes, they share the same name as the Novice servers. However, they are no longer Novice. They have now turned into hard mode. With the hard mode comes anomalies. You'll notice that the season tags here exist, whereas they did not exist on the novice servers. With these season tags, you will notice that there is deviant invasions and the difficulty will be set to hard. You can read through each of the difficulty changes as well as the deviations changes here. So I'm not going to get into that because that is for another video. However, you are more than welcome to stop the video and read over this yourself. So these will be the main two changes from Manubis Novice and the actual Manubis server itself. So you will be encountering pretty challenging enemies that are anomalies. They are very challenging to defeat, and unfortunately, if you come across them and you are brand new to the game, you may get a little frustrated, and it's not something that I want you to experience. So I don't recommend going up against the hard mode servers unless you are a hardcore gamer that is just not afraid of a challenge, at which time, by all means, go ham on these servers. Just know that if you encounter an enemy with a little voodoo doll over his head, run. Unless he ports in front of you, at which time just close your eyes and hope and pray. Anyway, continuing on. So that is the main difference between these two. Then we move on to the latest and greatest servers. So Prisonverse Clash is a server that is only 19 days, whereas Evolution's Call and Manubis have six phases, and they are around 6 weeks. Prisonverse Clash is 19 days. This is a server that is strictly devoted to player versus player content. You are not going to encounter any main story quests, side quests. You are strictly focused on a player versus player combat, fighting over prismatic deviations and keeping them on your base until they are purified, which can be raided. So you want to make sure that this is a server for you. Your base can be raided and you can be killed in the open world. However, there are a few safe locations that you can port your base on and you can stay safe on. So don't let me scare you from a Prison vs. Clash. You can enjoy it, but if PvP is not your jam, I don't recommend Prison vs. Clash. It is a 19-day solely focused PvP scenario, and that's what it's meant to do. So if you're not really wanting to enjoy a PvP environment, avoid Prison vs. Clash until you're absolutely certain that this is the environment you want to be in. And then the latest server that just came out a few days ago is the Way of Winter. The Way of Winter does not have a hard mode. It is set to normal. However, it is not a novice server. The Way of Winter is a very cold environment. So if you are not very familiar with the sandbox survival aspect of games, I don't recommend playing the Way of Winter because a lot of individuals are having an issue staying alive due to the extreme cold and dying from hypothermia. I don't recommend this server at all if that is not something that you want to experience. But if this is one that you do want to play, jump on it. Give it a shot. There are 2 different spawn locations. There's going to be an area for the more experienced player, and there's going to be an area for the novice. However, I still am hearing a lot of complaints with regards to the novice area being rather challenging to stay alive at. You will freeze, you will die of hypothermia a lot, and unfortunately you do drop things upon death, but it's only resources. It's nothing that is the end of the world. However, it does get kind of challenging. I will tell you, I have almost 1,000 hours in this game, and I have died more times than I want to admit. So go into it knowing that hypothermia is an absolute option that you will more than likely die to more times than you will care to admit. But it is still an extremely fun game, a very fun scenario, and I do recommend playing it, especially after you've experienced the other servers.